So thank you for joining and taking the time for this session. So I'm going to first introduce myself and my pronouns, and then have you go ahead. So my name is Evelyn. My pronouns are she, her. And please introduce.
And my name is Weema. My pronouns are they and them.
Okay, excellent. So thank you. So as this panel is, or this session is about Mawjoudin and what they do. So I kind of wanted to start with, could you just sort of give me an overview of what Mawjoudin does and sort of like their goals and such?
So Mawjoudin, the initiative Mawjoudin, we exist. Mawjoudin translates to we exist actually in Arabic. It's officially a registered organization in Tunisia since 2015, and we work on equality, equal rights for everyone, especially focused on the queer community in Tunisia.
Okay, okay. And so then, what do you do with them? Because I understand that you're a coordinator. However, I understand a coordinator can do quite a few things within an organization.
Yes. Actually, I'm coordinating the Mawjoudin Queer Film Festival in its third edition. The festival which was supposed to take place in March 2020, but due to Corona, COVID-19, and everything happening around us, it had to be postponed. I'm currently coordinating a project for refugees, for immigrants and asylum seekers from the queer community in Tunisia.
Okay. Okay, I see. And so then, so this year was supposed to be the second festival, so then it's been postponed to next year then?
It's actually the third edition.
Sorry.
Yeah, we had two editions starting in 2018 and 2019. And the third edition which was supposed to take place in 2020, was postponed to 2021.
Okay, okay, I understand. Okay, and so I'm rather curious about the film festival, because it is a queer film festival. However, in Tunisia, you know, it's homophobia is strictly illegal. The police perform very invasive checks and such. So how do you handle hosting this festival in such like a country?
We handled very, very carefully because we need to take, like you said, like homosexuality is still illegal in Tunisia. And so we need to take into consideration the safety and security of everyone involved in the festival, going from the organizers, the guests, the participants, everyone involved, even like in like smallest details. So we take everything into consideration. We try to work as safely as possible by having the locations, like secret locations, making sure we know the participants, like having a form where they can sign in, and so that we know who's coming to the festival. And we have security guards as well in our venues. So it's not easy, but it's challenging. But those challenging are what makes the festival like really amazing.
Yes, yeah, I can absolutely imagine. Okay, so was the first year the most difficult, and so the second edition, you sort of had gone through the process of being more secure and careful. Did you have to change any of your processes because it was a second one, or were you able to sort of continue through?
Well, it's mostly a continuation, but we were becoming more and more aware of the security issues. So for the third edition, we had like an entire security plan with everything. We had even training for the team and for everyone involved. And for the volunteers as well, we were planning to have a training for them for when it comes to security. So we're trying to be more careful and as careful as we could.
Okay, okay, I see. Okay, excellent. Jeez, I'm sort of like it's a way sort of like, I don't know, this sounds ridiculous, it's sort of like acknowledging the work you go to actually host this in such a hostile environment is incredible, especially you having to vet the participants to make sure that everybody coming there actually wants to be there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like what I said, that's what makes it amazing, because it's an event that happens once a year, and it's an opportunity for the queer community to come together, and also for the allies to come and like watch films and like see panels and like and see the life that we live, and in a way like try to understand more the struggles that the queer community goes through. So those challenging, they they have a meaning, so it's okay to face all those challenges and have all those plans ready when you think about how amazing and what the festival presents for the queer community.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's, yeah. I can't have any words to properly express how this makes you feel.
Okay.
Okay, that's, yeah. So then in the festival, you have panels, workshops. You also have film viewings and such. Like, what sort of workshops do you have for the participants who come to attend?
Oh, we have like different kind of workshops. Each year we try to like have an assessment from the previous years and understand what the community needs, what kind of workshops they want to attend. So it's a mix of fun things as well as serious subjects.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot go into much details about the about
Of course.
what it's going to be, because that's supposed to be a surprise for the people who are involved in the festival. But like I said, it's a mix of fun things to enjoy doing as much as, and also some very serious workshops that you could attend during the festival.
Okay. Okay, that's actually really fascinating. Okay, so then, so Mawjoudin has the film festival. So I understand that's one of the many things that the organization does. So sort of looking at like this year, what sort of work has Mawjoudin been focused on?
Again, like related to the current situation and everything that's happening with COVID-19. Unfortunately, like for example, the festival, we had to postpone it. With Mawjoudin, we also have like a lot of clubs and activities, because we all also provide a safe space for the community to come together, and like members could propose activities to have, and those activities had to all be done online, like to be sure that everyone is safe, and of course for health reasons. So mainly the focus was adapting to the situation and trying to adapt to the need of the community that changed this year. So it was mainly about providing the help needed, like for example, providing financial help for people who had troubles with the situation, like not having jobs, people who were kicked out of their homes because of the situation again, providing like the medical help needed for some people, and like even the simplest thing, like recommendations on things how to do to make sure that you're safe, that you're healthy, things to do in public when alone. And we also had like workshops about safety, digital safety and securities, because during COVID, like a lot of hate speech started to show, like in huge numbers when people were home. So a lot of people faced a lot of problems to their identity, being forced to come out, and people who faced threats. And also we tried to, like I said, adapt to the changing needs of the community during the situation.
Okay, okay, I understand. Okay, that's exactly. So basically, you're having like sort of regular sessions for sort of like online for people to come to, so you can actually like sort of share and discuss their problems and what they can do about it. Is that sort of?
Yeah, and also because with Mawjoudin we have a helpline and an emergency line as well for people to call whenever they're facing any kind of problems. So those lines were working all the time, like 24-hour, like 7 days a week, trying to help people and guide them in, like during the previous period and still to today. That it's one of Mawjoudin's services that we provide. There's also a green line, like specifically during some days of the week, that people could call to talk and get some counseling when needed.
Okay, okay, I understand. So it sounds like this phone lines were just sort of like busy nonstop with people calling in to discuss and ask for assistance.
Which is understandable given the stress level that people had to face in general.
Yes.
So considering that the queer community is one of the most vulnerable communities in the countries, like that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow. So okay. So then you have these things happening. So I know you also have like different campaigns. Like you had one for the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. And
Yeah.
I saw one of the things you're doing for that. How did you collect the stories to share in that campaign? Because from what I read, it seemed like very personal.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's intensely personal.
Yeah, I would say it was not easy, honestly. Like reaching out to people and asking them if they have a story they want to share. But more like everyone that participated in the campaign, of course, we got their consent to publish their story, and they understood the importance of the day and the importance of having such a campaign. So in a way, it was not easy to read their stories and even to ask for them to send any personal things they had to, but we see it as something very important for people. Like the campaign, the title of the campaign is Solidarity Wins, and it's one of the things that we strongly believe in. So these stories were a combination from personal stories from the queer communities, like refugees and asylum seekers in Tunisia, for the Tunisian community, and even from Tunisian allies in Tunisia. So we wanted to have like a combination of different stories with different backgrounds, and people sharing like some intimate things, some personal stories that they live.
Okay. Wow. So basically, a lot of it was just sort of like about creating visibility, and then for people who are in the queer community but not out to also feel seen in a way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was, I'm assuming, because it was this year in May, it was all completely online then.
Yeah. Usually we have like some big events, and we want them to be more public with people present, like to meet each other and in a way connect. But again, because of COVID, it had to be done online.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I understand. Okay. Jeez. Okay. So then I kind of wanted to keep asking more about different campaigns. And when we were sort of discussing through email, you mentioned queer riots. Could you tell me some more about
So Queer Riot is a campaign that we had this year, and actually it's still continuing. And the idea behind it was that the queer community, we do not have safe spaces, and we do not like have spaces where that we can proclaim ours. And the queer community kept feeling threatened, like because of a lot of reasons, and outside the outside world. And we wanted to do something to showcase that that feelings that the queer community have. So it was a series of shooting photos that they were done actually publicly. So in some kind of known places in the capital in Tunis, with people like holding signs, and each sign it said something specific to the queer community, like queer, we're here, we try to mention that we exist, that like the name of the organization, that we exist and we're here. And it's a way to proclaim our space and focusing on the existence of the queer community in Tunisia.
Okay. And where can people see this campaign, or like the results of it?
Well, I would say because it was shared a lot, and because we got a lot of messages and people wanting to actually participate in the campaign. So why I said it, one of the reasons I said that the campaign is still going is because we asked everyone, whoever wants to share to share a message, to just take a picture and send it to us, and it will be shared. Well, but as long as their identity is hidden, because we do not want to put them at risk. So as long as their face is hidden somehow, and they have a message, like holding a sign with their own message, or something they want to say to the world, like everyone is welcome to participate in the campaign.
Okay. So is this then available on Instagram and Facebook, or?
Yeah, it was on all our social medias, on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter as well.
Okay. Okay. Right. You have Twitter. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. That's okay. I'm gonna have to look this up. I gotta look at all of this later.
Okay.
Yeah, because so I'm like Sudanese diaspora, so like a lot of this is like deeply, deeply personal to me in another way. Um, so I'm going to be like reading up quite a bit on everything that's going on right now. Your giving campaign.
You're welcome. I don't know how to like to send links on Instagram, but maybe I could share them later. Like, but everything could be found on our social media. If you go to our Instagram, to our Facebook, everything is in there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure that they share those links. Like you can email them to me or to us, and then we'll make sure that they're actually show up in our stories and Facebook and such, so people can sort of find those to go find.
That would work. Like it.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, so you mentioned queer refugees and migrants and asylum seekers. So, like, how has Mawjoudin been supporting them? Because I know that was, because I read the objectives from last year, and I know that was very much a big part of them.
Yeah. So the project started like 2 years ago, and like you said, it's a project specifically for the refugees, immigrants, and asylum seekers from the queer community in Tunisia. Mainly, what we try to do is providing counseling sessions for them and trying to make their integration in the Tunisian community easier, providing like different trainings, listening to whatever issues they have and trying to accommodate, to like help them with those issues and see what we could do. We also had like a guide that was published last year. A guide like has all the information that a queer person would need once they come to Tunisia, like all the contact of all different NGOs, the contact of different people for different services, and the different informations about Tunisia they could need during their stay here. So, and that guide is like specifically for the community to help them during their stay in Tunisia. And like the community is also participating in all the activities, because we said like with Mawjoudin we provide a safe space for everyone. So they're welcome to come to our office and participate in all the other different activities that we have with Mawjoudin. Like it's a lot of activities. Actually, we have like a books reading activities, French clubs, English clubs, whatever you could think about, as long as someone expressed their need or they're ready to provide that kind of services. We have members come and attend those clubs.
Okay, wow. So then basically it's sort of like you respond very quickly to any need that a person in the community needs. And then
Yeah, we try to
anybody,
as much as
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
yeah, I guess in the other way is like anybody who comes and they see like this is amazing, I want to help. There's sort of like you immediately sort of give them that platform to share and sit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's wow. So basically Mawjoudin has become a very, it sounds like it's grown quite a bit in the last 2 years. Or how many years has Mawjoudin been around for?
Since 2015.
2015. So in the last 5 years, it's grown quite a bit. It sounds like. Okay.
And it's also always like coming from the community, what the community needs, are trying to adapt to the needs of the community.
Okay. So then for the asylum seekers, that's sort of like you're providing guidance on how to obtain asylum in other countries. And so what sort of like international support is it sort of provided for that? Because I know and the objectives was to sort of establish an international network for asylum seekers.
Yeah, we have a network with organizations. So because we also get some requests from refugees and asylum seekers in other countries, not specifically in Tunisia. So we try to connect them with the organization that we know and that are working in that country. So it's kind of trying to make kind of a liaison between the person asking for help and the organization being present in that specific country. So we have kind of a trusted network of people we know we could trust and that we could work with, and that we know we could send people to them and that they would actually help.
Okay. Okay. So then basically, so you have this trusted international network. So what sort of like international impact do you feel that Mawjoudin has had as a result of this work?
Well, I hope we're we're helping people to resettle in other places and mostly be free and safe and be themselves away from the threats and the danger they could face in their country, and that's our goal. So I hope that is happening.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like 100% certain that that is happening.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So then, okay, so sorry, I'm running through my notes. I have a book here of everything I've written for this. Okay, so then, this is a touchy topic, and I know I kind of cleared this with you beforehand because I want to make sure you're comfortable with it. So first off, for everybody listening, this is a big trigger warning because we're talking about police fascism. So I only have like some details, you know, as an outsider from like Tunisian activists sharing things, is that there has been a recent proposed law that grants police further impunity and basically allows them to sort of do whatever they want. What sort of impact does that have? And also how does that impact the queer community in Tunisia?
Okay. So I'm gonna try to, in a way, rephrase what you said and explain it a little bit.
Please do.
So basically this law, it protects the police officers. So it protects them from everything that a citizen could do. And the reasons why this, like, it presents a huge danger for everyone is because the police is already like using their power in some bad ways. Like, we have a lot of people from the queer community that, like, they faced a lot of violence from police officers. Like, we recently had two people from the queer community who officers in the street, they kicked them and they encouraged people to actually go ahead and be violent with them and kick them, and it was like it was really bad. And it is very bad to know that those who are supposed to protect you, they're actually the one being violent with you and not protecting you from the rest of from any harm that could happen to you. And so this law, what could give them is kind of a protection. So whatever you could do or say, it could be used against you, but in a very, very bad way. And it's not good for all the citizens in Tunisia, but specifically to the queer community, because they are one of the most vulnerable communities here in Tunisia. So we're already facing a lot of violence from them. So I don't know what could happen even worse if this law passed and if it actually starts taking place in Tunisia.
Yeah. And so I imagine right now there's a lot of protests against this. And I know Mawjoudin is taking part in these.
We had two protests took place in Tunisia, and so they said they're not gonna pass the law, but it's kind of postponed to later on. They need to think more about the law. So if it's gonna come up again, like, people are gonna go back to the streets again. But they only said it's not gonna pass because people were in the streets and the protest took place. So if it's gonna come back again, people are going back to they will go back to the streets again to protest that law so that it would not pass.
Yeah, and I know it's like this is like the latest big thing in a way. We're trying to create more visibility and awareness, but from what I understand, you know, we had the revolution happen in 2011, I believe, and so since then it was sort of like seeing that there would be some progress happening, and the president in the last few years sort of like outright rejected international pressure to like recognize that, you know, homosexuality is not illegal. So how has that sort of been, I don't know, so what sort of like challenges has it sort of created to have such a hostile environment?
Well, you know, when these things happens, you usually feel very down, but what happens afterwards is that you get more motivation to keep on the work that you're doing. So we're now more like we're working more with other organizations, trying to come together and face everything that's gonna come up. And I'm sure it's not gonna put us down, or it's not gonna slow our movement. Like, on the contrary, it's just gonna make us even more persistent, like demanding our rights and demanding equality for everyone living in Tunisia.
Okay, good. Yeah, and yeah, because I like sort of like I was doing like my self-education, try to understand what was happening. Of course, I know that I'm an outsider with my own privilege, tons of privilege. And so it's a case of where, I can read about these, like there's activists who are being arrested or punished, there's invasive searches by police and such. But to know that like you guys are being so resilient and continue to fight is very promising. So do you feel that there is a positive impact from all the work and sort of like the protesting? Because the fact that the police, that law was actually postponed is actually really good.
Yeah, the good part is that people are now more aware of everything that's happening. They're more aware of, like, news are everywhere, all over the place. So whatever's gonna happen, everyone's gonna get the information. And people are more or less trying more to look into things and trying to look into the right information. And they're not silent anymore. So we're not taking anything quietly and just saying this is what's going to happen and that's it. People are more persistent, like you said, protest. People are claiming their rights. People are speaking up, and they're talking about their needs and the change that should happen.
Yes, yeah, and it's like I would say, like, excluding this year because of the pandemic.
Yes, being careful, of course.
Yeah, I'm imagining like in previous years, there's been a lot of like public work events and talks, so that people who are outside of the queer community can sort of like gain awareness and be educated just by being exposed. And so I'm imagining that you do have allies who attend these events, so they can actually learn more and try to provide support in their own way.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, and so I guess like sort of like one of my biggest questions in my mind is, do you feel that that Mawjoudin actually like utilizes those allies in a way to sort of, because for myself, I've done a lot of work with like Black Lives Matters and racism and such, and one of the biggest things I always talk about is that for me to talk about problems with people who don't agree, they're going to ignore me. But if I talk to like a white person and they agree, then they can talk to that person who ignores me and they will listen. Do you feel that is also happening in a way?
Yeah. Actually, starting with Mawjoudin, like in the first years, the strategy was to focus more on the queer community and like working on building the capacities of the community, working on their needs and kind of a closed way. But since last year, we actually realized we not realized, but we came to the point that we had the capabilities and the tools needed to be more open to having allies joining the movement. And actually, there's one training that we provide with Mawjoudin that's called Lilo Connect. Lilo is like looking in, looking out. It's kind of like a series of trainings. And this specific training is called Lilo Connect because it connects the queer community to the allies and the possible future allies. So it's kind of a training where people come together and we get to talk about the issues, about past lives, about what the community goes through, about the language that should be used and the words that should be avoided in a way because they have a lot of different meanings. And it's mostly like a sharing space for people to tell the stories and for people to listen to those stories and try to understand, because like you said, it is more efficient to have people who understand the struggles, who understand the movements, to actually be active and help you in your movement and actually be with you, not leading the movement, but being with you, being behind you, and support whatever you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just to have them sort of provide that platform in a way. Like I always call sort of like uplifting the voices to make sure that they are heard, to sort of amplify them.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a little worked up here, sorry. Okay, so then, so with that said, do you feel like there's like I'm sort of like give you the opportunity to say whatever you'd like. Are there specific like calls to action that you would like to make to the audience, or that you sort of like feel that others need to hear in a way?
Yeah, well, actually, going back to the project that we talked about, the project related to the queer refugees, immigrants, and asylum seekers in Tunisia, we've just started the campaign, GoFundMe campaign, because unfortunately, we do not have enough funds to be able to assist the community in all their needs. And again, with the COVID-19 and everything that happened, most of the community are like in need to have financial help with their rent, with their food, with sanitary tools, with everything. And because we also believe in sustainable solutions, and one of the things that we thought we should start working on it is providing the trainings, like for the community to be able to have their training and then work, have their job, and be more like dependent and relying on themselves and not relying on financial help from organizations. So we're trying to help providing these trainings because we see it as more sustainable. Unfortunately, we do not have enough funds to be able to do this. So we launched this GoFundMe campaign. Hopefully we get the funds needed to be able to achieve this.
Okay, so GoFundMe. Okay, we're gonna send that out and drop a link in the chat. I think Elmira or one of them will do this, one of the Zads. So as far as, so you mentioned in trainings, what sort of trainings are you providing then?
For the immigrants and refugees and asylum seekers?
Yes.
Yeah, well, most of them, they want to have trainings like in simple things like how to make soap, things they could tell, how to make soap, how to fix computers, trainings even in language, because most of them, they speak French, English, or other languages that they could not use in Tunisia. So a huge number of them also, like, they want to have trainings like language trainings in Arabic or specifically in Tunisians to be able to work here and have better jobs. So it's mostly like small training to be able to provide for themselves later on.
Okay, so it's sort of like I hate using this word, but like integration training in a way, or job training. We're sort of preparing them to sort of like sufficient.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, kind of a professional training to be able to have a job.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. So then everybody definitely donate to this GoFundMe because it's critical.
Yeah, because it's needed.
Yeah, this is very much needed. So I guess like previous years you're able to get funding from events that you hosted, but right now because of the pandemic you're not able to gain those, and that's why this GoFundMe is so critical.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Okay, and so then kind of want to just give you an opportunity to talk as much as you want. What sort of plans does like Mawjoudin have for the future? Because I know the film festival is happening next year because that was postponed.
Yeah.
But what other significant things are there that will be taking place, or do you feel that will be explored, planned, however you want to say it?
Hopefully to be like more open, like and focusing more on campaigns for the laws. It's not going to be easy, but it's one of the things that we should focus on, like changing the laws in Tunisia and working more with the community. Like when I think about the question, sometimes we ask this question to members and they say we want to conquer the world.
Yes.
Like, yes, why not? Let's do this.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree 100% with those people. Like, definitely. Yeah, queer people need to run the world. Everything you do so much better. Okay, excellent. I'm somehow ahead of time, but I want to quickly, so basically because this whole event is actually part of a whole festival. So I'm just going to quickly read off this little bit so people are aware of how this festival took place. So this conversation is a part of Queer Kandi Journeys and Destinations Film Fest, organized by QTI Coalition of Color, a network for QTI BIPOC in Cambridge, UK. This festival has been made possible thanks to collaboration with Queer Asia and Compass Network the Center for the Study of Global Human Movement and LGBTQ+ at CAM at the University of Cambridge, and with sponsorship from National Lottery's 25th anniversary. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to sort of turn it off over to the audience to ask questions. So we already have one. I have to read it sideways, sorry. So how do you think—
I'm doing the same thing today.
How do you think the Swana queers in diaspora can elevate and highlight the struggles of the queers in the region?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know about speaking up, how safe it is to actually talk, but if there's no platform for people to speaking up and to talk about the struggle, try to reach out to others too, so they could like elevate your voices and get them to the word. I think that's one of the most important things, for people to be heard and for them to speak up. I don't know if you have another reply maybe to the question.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. So like in space, I feel everybody always needs like a minute or two to think about what they want to ask, because we could discuss quite a bit of details, starting from the film festival, the projects and campaigns that have been taking place this year and other years. Oh, let me see. Okay, so I'm just gonna read it out. I love that we're just tilting our heads to read these things. So thank you, Weema and Mawjoudin, for participation in Queer Candy Film Fest. Would you please tell us how you fund your overall work and your festival in particular?
How do you?
Yeah, sorry, I'll read the last bit again. Would you please tell us how you fund your overall work and your festival in particular?
Oh, overall work. So we have different projects, and we do like any other organization. We actually apply for funds whenever funders are launching calls for projects. That's mainly what we do. But we also rely on people so much. So whenever we see a need, someone needing any financial help or someone needing anything, we do sometimes launch calls between each other, trying to get funds from ourselves, from our friends, and people who could contribute and help with the money, because we do get a lot of people asking for financial help, especially those who get kicked out of their houses and who need like urgent help to find rent, or urgent help to pay for something that they need for their medical needs, for example. So sometimes we also rely on the help of the community, on the solidarity of people around here in Tunisia. It's one of the very most important things.
Excellent, thank you. Gonna give it a moment for other questions to pop in. I feel that I've kind of asked everything that I could think to ask at this moment. Yeah, so then so one question I have is, besides monetary support or donating to the GoFundMe, what ways can people abroad sort of support the queer community in Tunisia? Like, are there protests or things happening right now that need to have more awareness promoted? Are there like certain hashtags they can follow, for example?
Yeah, one of our hashtags is about like the recent campaign that we talked about, Queer Riot.
Mm-hmm.
So it is one of the most recent hashtags that's going through internet, through social media. Else, like just sharing whatever work we do, sharing our posts, because sometimes we share some very, very important information that could be helpful to the queer community, not just in Tunisia, but to anyone being part of the queer community everywhere in the world. Like, for example, some tips how to protect yourself online, tips when using dating apps, for example. So some small things that could be helpful to everyone, and not just the queer community in Tunisia.
Okay. Okay. And then all the posts, I believe they're shared in English, Arabic, and French. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So one question, if the pandemic gets crazy, will the festival get postponed again?
Well, I hope not. Like, really, fingers crossed, not. Um, we're gonna have to adapt to whatever is gonna happen, like always. If things would get worse, because it's planned to take place in March 2021. If things get worse, maybe we'll have to postpone it to the summer of 2021. But really, hopefully, by then everything will get better, because we're scared for ourselves and for everyone around us. So hopefully it would get better. This is not related to the festival only. This is like more of a general thing. Hopefully everything would get much better.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really hoping too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm producing a film festival in Munich that got postponed for the same reasons. So I'm hoping next year things are calmed down so I can actually host it.
Yeah, you must know the feeling having to.
Yeah, it was like sit down, come up with all these plans, and then suddenly we realize we can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have another question. Don't you organize fundraising activities here in Tunisia? Have you hosted one before?
No, but we did not. But if you have any idea of an activity that we could have to organize a fundraising, please do share with us. Mostly how we raise funds, like I said, it's between the contacts, people we know, to make sure like they are safe people that we could talk to. Else, if anyone they want to donate money or everything, we have a lot of people also reaching out to us on our social media and asking about ways how they could help. So if anyone would want to help, they could just reach out to us and we could talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, because I also imagine that fundraising in Tunisia poses a danger in its own, because if anybody asks what you're raising money for,
Yeah,
you can't exactly, go on the street basically be like, we're raising money for homosexual people and queer people. Would you like to help us?
yeah.
Yeah. It's so basically I imagine you have to go through trusted people and be very careful about how you store funds and handle them and such.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to share a random anecdote. I raised funds last year for a women's organization in Sudan, and the fundraising was 3 weeks, and it took me 5 weeks to get money into the country.
Oh wow.
Yeah, due to like just a similar issue where like we couldn't just send the money directly there because they were restricting funds. If the government caught sight of it, they would freeze it, things like that. So I definitely understand the challenges of fundraising and actually handling whatever you actually get.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question. How do you separate community work and campaigning?
How do you
separate community work and campaigning?
what does that mean exactly?
So
do we separate it? How?
Yeah. So I would imagine, so campaigning would be like the queer riot or the campaign you ran through Idaho Bit. And then community work could be things that they're constantly going on, like these workshops and these sessions and such. Like, do you separate them, or is it you plan them all together?
Well, we have a lot of people helping in Mawjoudin, a lot of members, so we do not separate them. I'm not sure what they mean exactly about separating, but for each work, each project, it's like even a small mini project, we have a team taking care of that and making sure it goes as well as possible. But all members of Mawjoudin are always welcome to come in, to join and help. We have like our own small groups where we launch calls wherever who is available and who is ready to volunteer and help. But separating, maybe in the meaning, they're not separated. They're actually very, very related. So campaigning comes from the community and it's about the community. So I don't know what the question means exactly, but I'm trying to answer it in different ways. I don't see them as two separate things as much as I see them like going hand in hand, if you know what I mean. Like they're much related.
Yes. Yeah, I agree actually. Yeah, sort of like you're sort of like planning different projects, and a project could be community focused or it could be a campaign, but they're still projects all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, oh, actually, we had a clarification on the question. I'm sorry, I didn't read it. So clarification was, I'm thinking of the recent posts you had to the Tunisian president where you condemn state violence against protesters. Yeah. So I still think that's sort of like the same thing. Like you have a campaign where you're, preparing things to publish while also having other work happen at the same time.
Yeah. It was a letter that we wrote, and that organizations signed that letter because of all the violence that happened during the protest, because of what we previously talked about. The first protest, actually, there were like a lot of violence that took place against protesters, which is never okay to have those kind of violence. So we, like a lot of organizations, came together signing this letter, and we publish it on our social media. For more detail, you can actually find it still on Facebook. It's like one of the pinned posts about what's happening currently in Tunisia.
Okay, excellent. And we had another add-on to the question about the fundraising. I think that organizing a fundraising event in one of Tunisia's campuses is pretty safe. Gen Z is pretty open-minded. I study in one, and I think it would be very profitable. So I guess the sort of proposal that fundraising on campus would be a bit safer, considering you have like a younger generation that is more open-minded and liberal and progressive.
Yeah, maybe we could actually think about that. We already have like a lot of activities that take place in universities. Like last year, we had kind of made a small tour in some universities, and we did training, like kind of an introduction to sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. And it was very interesting to go back to university and to do this work. So yeah, maybe it's an idea that we could think about it.
Okay, and then one question, sort of continuing to what you had said about the letter. Did the president actually receive the letter, or did you just put it on the internet, hoping he might see it? So was this something sent to him, or was it sort of an open letter published for anybody to look at?
Yeah, it's an open letter, but it was also sent to the presidential, so it's not something that we just hope that he could see in a way.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I imagine that you might want to send it to him too. Okay. Okay, excellent. So there's no further questions. I think we've reached our time. So thank you, Weema, for all the time you've given us today to talk about Mawjoudin, the film festival, the work you do, the international impact, how you're helping refugees, migrants, asylum seekers, and taking the time to answer all these questions. This has been amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like the time went very quickly. I did not know this. This was like a really fun conversation that we had, and I hope whoever like in need for something, you can always reach out to us. And if you need something, or if there's any way you think that you might help, please also reach out to us on our social media. We're very responsive.
Yes, and also donate to their GoFundMe, which a link will be shared after this. Go on their Facebook, their Twitter, or Instagram account and I'm sure you guys have put information on there about the GoFundMe.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so thank you and have a lovely day, and yes, I wish you all the best.
Be safe, please. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.